topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Barry G. Fowler, EA, brings you Tax Talk for You right here on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. As an enrolled agent and a national leader in tax resolution, as well as trucker, bookkeeping, and tax planning with over 30 years of experience, Barry will break down taxes, bookkeeping, tax planning, and tax relief for individuals and businesses just like you. So let's have some Tax Talk for You with your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Hey, good morning and welcome. Hopefully, you just finished watching or listening to Ask the Experts that preceded us here. And I was just doing a show with Steve-O on Ask the Experts, talking about IRS problems and problem resolutions. You can find those podcasts. Ask the Experts has them on all the iHeart, Spotify, you name it, it's there. We have some great shows. We've been doing some shows with him for many, many years. Ask the Experts has us come on and talk about tax relief. Hey, this show, Tax Talk for You, I enjoy doing this because we get to bring out new information or go back through and talk about different things that can help you. So today's show came about because we got a number of questions. People asking, hey, should I go into business? What do I need to do if I'm going into business or thinking about getting out into business? Is this a good idea? Well, first off, I can't tell you point blank for you personally, if you going into business is the right move for you. If maybe you've been a W-2 employee all your life, you're just not sure about going into business, that is the first decision you've got to really make. So is this the right thing to do for me to go out into business? One, the first question, do you have what it takes, the drive? Can you be success driven? Can you be self-driven? And are you self-motivated? See, those are the three selves. Because if you yourself can't accomplish those three things and be those three things, then business is probably not right for you. You need somebody that's getting you and driving you to be a success, as opposed to you being a success on your own. Now, that could be, your husband or your wife helps drive you, and maybe you can do a business together and be driven to success. When you're a W-2 employee, you're responsible to somebody else. You have that one person or multiple people above you that are your bosses that are pushing you to get your work done, or you're going to be terminated, fired, you're out of here. It doesn't work that way when you're going to go out in business. So you have got to be self-motivated and self-driven for that success for yourself and for your family. Because going into business, one, it takes a lot of work. I've been dealing with entrepreneurs and owner-operators and truck drivers for, more than 30 plus years. And I've never seen anybody that actually is going to work less in a startup business while they're building their business than when you were an employee. When you're an employee, you clock in, you clock out. It's your 40 hours and maybe some overtime here and there that you're going to go work. When you're running your own business, that could be 80 hours a week. Could be 7 days a week working. It could be, not 9 to 5. Your business could be from 8 in the morning till 8 or 10 o'clock at night, depending on what you're going to be doing in your business. So these are the things that you've got to think about as you step out to go into business for yourself. It's going to take a lot of work. Stepping out into business is going to cause a lot of worry. And that's hard to avoid. You're going to be worried about making payroll, what your future holds, what the uncertainty is about income and paying your bills. If you're growing, how you're going to grow, how you're going to hire, the risks that you're going to have to take for credit lines, paying back lines of credit, money that you owe to other people, or maybe you've brought in investors, paying back investors, money that you spend based on future projections and profits. So it's a lot of stress that's involved. Failure, it's always a possibility. Failure can cost you big time. Businesses do fail, trust me. Not everybody going out into business is 100% successful. That's why not everybody goes out into business. Some people have to be employees and have a W-2 paycheck. Otherwise everybody'd be in business, for themselves. And it's not always your fault that they fail or the fault of the owner. Even great decisions and good decisions can have bad outcomes, could have a negative impact. There's a lot of other factors that you can't control in business. And that failure out there can cost you relationships, and it's a possibility of something you can't deal with personally, so you don't really want to go there. I always like people telling me, man, Barry, this is the greatest thing because you are your own boss. I laugh. I don't ever think of myself as my own boss. Maybe when I first started out and doing taxes and stuff, I felt empowered to be my own boss. But as you continue to grow and you continue to take on clients, your clients become your bosses. So I don't report to just one boss. I report to hundreds to thousands of people that are now my bosses, demanding, hey, we need tax planning this time of the year. We need taxes done. It's now in their hands to help control and impact what we've got to do and what we've got to accomplish here. So, even sometimes you feel like the employees you hire are your boss, with their demands of what they want or can't do or can do, and you've got to work around it because sometimes hiring is hard to do, especially finding good quality people. So you're not going to be your own boss, but you might feel empowered. So, do I really want to be in business? Hey, these are the negative things so far that we're talking about. And I'm going to guarantee you one thing. You will make mistakes. Yep. As a business owner, you will make mistakes. And if you can't live with making mistakes, don't start your own business. If it's going to affect you and your attitude, you're doomed. It's done. It's over. The writing's on the wall before you ever get started. You're going to make wrong turns. Sometimes heading into business is like walking through a forest without a trail. You're setting your own trail. You need to find your own path. Sometimes you're going to make a right and you should have made a left. Sometimes you're going to make a left and you should have made a right. Sometimes you just needed to keep going down the path you were on and stay straight. Hey, the good news is if you can get around those things and you can overcome the little mistakes that you make in business, you can survive, and you survive them, you come out stronger. Your business comes out stronger. So sometimes make those little mistakes makes businesses stronger on their good points, and realize, hey, we need to go from here to there. So maybe you made that left and you need to turn back around and U-turn and get back to where you were on that straight path and fix the things and make it stronger going forward. So maybe that's the fun part about being in business, is knowing that you can make a mistake and straighten it out and continue to move forward stronger and better as an organization and better as a person. Now, we're going to talk about some of the good things that you can do and things and reasons you might want to be in business for yourself. And we're going to do that right after this.
We have only scratched the surface of today's show. Please stand by, as Barry G. Fowler will be right back with Tax Talk for You. If you owe the IRS or are going through an IRS audit, don't go at it alone. Call Taxation Solutions Tax Relief at 888-930-1016. We are your solution for IRS debts, audits, back taxes, garnishments, liens, and levies. Whether you're an individual or business, you need a solution and a strong, aggressive tax resolution. Don't let the IRS walk all over you. Stop the IRS now. Call 888-930-1016 or go to taxationsolutions.net now for a free, no obligation consultation. Let's get back to Tax Talk for You with more Tax Talk. Once again, here's your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Welcome back, looking at where I started many, many years ago to decide I'm going to go into business and everything. I came out of college and did what everybody else did. And as a CPA way back in the 80s was get out into the, big 8 public accounting and, work in that industry, and then move from there to, out in the corporate world and rise the corporate ladder. I didn't like playing politics with bosses and everything else. I had to make a decision early. What did I really want to do? And I decided I wanted to help people. I wanted to do taxes. I've always been doing taxes. I helped my dad when I was a kid doing taxes. He worked at one of those, box firms, part-time, on the weekends and everything for a little more money, since there were 5 kids that he was feeding, so there were 7 of us in the household plus a dog. And so he was at that time the only one working. So he was doing everything he could to make ends meet. And we would go with him, and I could help do taxes, pencil and paper. A lot of fun. But I really reached back and decided this is something I wanted to do, is be out in business for myself. But I had to figure out, what did people want or need? And how can I provide that niche to be a success in business? So if you're thinking about going out into business, that's maybe one of the first things you got to look at. especially when you're starting to put together maybe a business plan, which is really key to getting your business started as well. Are you filling a void? Is it something people want or need? Do people really want what you're going to be selling or the service you're going to be providing? So if you're providing a service that makes people feel better, maybe sleep better, maybe learn better, live better, a product everybody wants, hey, go out there and go after it. You know, you can look at some successful startups and how they were built around things that made life better. You know, computers. I mean, who would have thought way back in the day computers would be so portable? That first compact portable computer that was there that weighed 50 pounds and had the little green screen. And I know I'm dating myself, but I already know I'm old. That we would lug from one place to another became these laptops that we carry around that are no more than, 2 to 5 pounds. Really kind of cool. Or, iPads, whatever it may be. The progress of transportation, web applications, tutoring, tax preparation, IRS problem resolution, all these things that, we've jumped into and people have jumped into over the years that have become hugely successful because it fit a need, built a need, or they established a need for those products. Now, another reason for starting a business is maybe you're going to be better off. So, hey, this spans a full range of situations from making more money to being home more, to be with your children. Maybe you can do a part-time business, be successful, and have more time for your kids. Maybe you'd be able to live in a better place. Maybe at some point you'd have more time. So there's fundamentally some good reasons that can spill over to family life that can help you. If it's a business that you can run part-time and spend more time with family, great. If it substitutes the income that you were making for your W-2 wages. Again, you got to be self-driven though during times to make ends meet, make it work, and to continue to grow that business. Maybe you can involve other family members or loved ones that can work in the business and help the business grow. And now you've got a family business and everybody, you're raising the ship for everybody out there. Looking back for me, one of my main drivers for wanting to do business for myself was wanting to be able to do things my own way. Being that I was self-driven to get the business going, and I could spend the time that I needed focused on business for my clients, that my days didn't have to be technically from 8 to 5. I could be at work and doing things early in the morning, take a little break in the afternoon, and come back and do things at home at night for taxes, bookkeeping, whatever it was that we were promoting and pushing to grow our business. Tax resolution, we can do things that didn't require set office hours. And it made our life happier because we could focus on things that the kids can do to make their life better, such as sports, baseball, swimming, things like that. And so we could do those kind of things. So it made our lives happier. Another thing that you can consider is you're going to be able to control your own destiny. I built a business. You can build a business. So maybe you want to be an owner operator, truck driver out there, but you're a W-2 driver right now. Do I really want to jump out and become an owner operator? Well, you've got to consider your control. Self-awareness. What can you do? Self-motivation. All these things that we talked about as negatives on the self side can be turned around as positives out here. You can control your own destiny and how much you're driven to be a success. You've got to realize that being a success means you're going to be putting your credit online. You're going to be buying a new truck if you're going to be an owner operator, or leasing a truck for 3 years, 5 years, whatever it may be. You're going to be possibly going out and getting your own authority, and then you're going to be having to collect on invoices. Maybe you'll be a lease-on driver and they're just going to give you settlement statements. That might be the easiest route to ease into being an owner-operator out there. But again, accepting loads, going after it, getting driven for success is going to be up to you. And you're going to control your destiny, your financial future, by how much are you going to go out there and work. Now, you also got to consider in this, if you're going to be like an owner operator, is fluctuating freight prices and fluctuating costs, such as cost of fuel, repairs, things like that. So you've got to take a little bit of everything into consideration. So it may seem like maybe you're making $1 or $2 more a mile being an owner operator, but then you've got more expenses over here, such as owning the truck, repairs and maintenance and things like that, lease of trailers, or whatever you may be. You've got to factor all that in to what your income level is. So maybe you're making $10 more, out there. Now you've got maybe $8 more of cost. So maybe there is $2 of flexibility and more income for you, but then you've got self-employment taxes and other things out there, and you've got other administrative costs that you've got to account for. So those are the kind of things that you're going to have to be looking at as all your expenses. And then what you're going to want to do is say, hey, yes, I am self-motivated. I'm self-driven. I'm self-aware, and I have that drive to go after this. Now stop. Take a step back. Put a business plan together. And in that business plan, make a decision. How much money do I need to be a success, to pay for the things in my life? That is what you need to do. When you're going out into business, you may not be going out there to change the world for better. You may only be trying to change your little family world and make it better. But maybe you have the idea of a product or service that will make the world, the United States, a better place. Go for it. Hire people. Pay them a good salary. Build the business that you've dreamed of and the business of your dreams. Be that go-getter. Go after it. Maybe you want to be the next huge trucking company. Go for it. Be self-driven. So if your business has a purpose and you have the drive, being in business may be the right thing for you. Hey, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some business tax problems that people have who have been in business and now are looking for solutions to tax problems. And we're going to discuss those right after this break.
We have only scratched the surface of today's show. Please stand by as Barry G. Fowler will be right back with Tax Talk for You. As an owner-operator, you already spend too much time away from your family. Trucker Tax Tools handles all your bookkeeping and taxes no matter what level trucker you are. Life on the road can be taxing, but that doesn't mean that your wallet or time with your family should suffer. Trucker Tax Tools makes your life run smoothly. Go to truckertaxtools.com for a free guide that will give you the tools to never worry about your taxes again. Call Trucker Tax Tools 877-966-2477 or go to truckertaxtools.com now and let the experts keep you trucking. Let's get back to Tax Talk for You with more Tax Talk. Once again, here's your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Hey, welcome back. We're talking about going into business. It is the right thing to do. Sometimes in business you struggle. Sometimes it's money struggles. Sometimes it's sales are struggling. Sales are down. Sometimes costs are going way up due to inflation, things like that. And so you got to find cash flow solutions, right? And sometimes that's the consequences of taxes. We were dealing with a client who had major cash flow problems, but he was trying to find everything he could do to take care of his employees that had been with him a long time. And instead of closing the business and telling everybody, hey, we just can't afford to do this anymore, he just kept making payroll. But what he was doing wasn't paying in the payroll taxes. Now he's in way over his head. And, if you're avoiding paying payroll taxes for cash flow, you're going to have bigger problems. If you can't afford to pay the payroll taxes, you can't afford to be in business, to be honest with you. Or you can't afford to have as many employees. Sometimes you've got to do that reduction just to make it make sense to keep the business afloat for those that you can afford to keep on in business, supported by the revenues that are coming in. What happens when you don't pay your payroll taxes? Well, the IRS comes after you. IRS is going to be all over you. And the IRS is going to be looking for that money any way, shape, or form. Now, there are two parts to payroll taxes. There is the part that the company pays, Social Security and Medicare. So that's, roughly 7.25% of your payroll taxes, of gross payroll. And then there is the side that is pulled from the employee's check, which is that matching 7.25% Social Security and Medicare and the federal withholdings. Now that portion is considered pulled out in trust. It means you were trusted to pull that money from your employee's check and send it to the IRS. That portion can be subject to trust fund penalties. What are trust fund penalties? Penalties that are assessed because you made the choice not to pay them into the IRS and use the money that was you pulled out in trust and used it to not pay the IRS, but to pay other bills. The IRS can come in and assess trust fund penalties against the owners of the business and any signers on the checking account. That there alone can hit you hard as an individual. So you want to make every attempt possible to pay at the very minimum all the trust fund taxes you withheld from people's checks. Now, sometimes that's not possible and you're going to get hit with the trust fund penalties. Again, that gets hit against any owners in the business and any signers on checking accounts if they're considered to be decision makers. Hey, we got a quick question from Joe. I was a manager of a bar and they hit me with trust fund penalties. Can I get those removed? Joe, I've seen this before. You as a manager, you've had signature authority over a checking account. We would have to look at what authority you actually had there. We might be able to get trust fund penalties removed from you, depending on what account you were signing on. If you were just signing on a petty cash account that only had a small amount, you didn't have anything to do with payroll or meeting other bills besides what was products that were dropped off, that you either didn't order or didn't have a say in, those kind of things. We might be able to get you off of those trust fund penalties, and especially not being an owner. But being a signer on the account, yes, you can be held responsible. We have seen where managers in businesses that had signature authority on an account have been held 100% liable for trust fund penalties. Unfortunately, sometimes you cannot avoid those, because you had the authority to do it, and it came to the IRS's attention that you helped make the decision not to pay the payroll taxes, and you did nothing to get them to pay those payroll taxes either. But if you had absolutely zero knowledge of it, we might be able to overcome that portion of it. So kind of keep those things in mind as well. The other tax problems that happened usually only happen because you were a C Corp and didn't pay the federal taxes on your corporation. You didn't timely file your S Corp or partnership returns and didn't get K-1s out to the owners of the business. They hit you with penalties on the non-filing of the tax return or late filing of the tax return. Those penalties, yes, some of them we can get waived, and sometimes with good cause we can get those things waived as well. So, we've got to look at all the different ways of going about getting a solution that is in place. And if you are getting a K-1, then everything flows to your personal return and the taxes are paid there. Now, most people ask, why am I getting taxed this full amount when I only took so much in distributions? Well, distributions in and amongst themselves are not taxable unless it's a distribution in excess of basis. Long story on basis, and we can't cover that here today. But it's the net income from the business that is taxable on your personal tax return. And you'll see many different lines on that K-1, depending on your income source, depending on distributions, depending on how your profits are coming in, interest, dividends, etc. Different items can show up on those K-1s, and all of those need to be listed on the personal tax return, and the taxes are paid there. If you need money to pay your taxes, you take a distribution from your business and pay the taxes from the personal account. Don't intermingle business and personal out there. So that's, when we're looking at businesses, that's what I look at is the biggest thing that comes out of a business is when it comes to tax problems is strictly coming back to mostly the time it's payroll taxes. And it's something you need to really jump in front of as quick as possible. They will assign a revenue officer on that, on payroll taxes, because the first thing they're going to start looking at is to assess the trust fund penalties and then expect to get 100% collections. Even though they will set up a payment plan on it, their job is to get it collected 100%. It wasn't your money. It's government's money, and you should have paid it when you withheld it. So what I tell you is, if you're in business, don't raid the kitty from the payroll tax side. Penalties are too high, too stiff, too much. Could be the nail that's in your coffin of your business. Find other routes to go. Borrow money, get a line of credit, do something different. You may have to terminate some people. do the things that you need to do to make sure that you're in control of the finances for the business. So, if you got questions, man, send in your questions. I got a question here, it's kind of off topic. This is because we mentioned something about an S Corp. Here it is. Ralph, question is, as an S Corp, I'm an owner. Am I required to take payroll? If you are working in the business, Ralph, yes, you as an owner are required to take what is considered to be a reasonable salary for the position that you hold and the work you are doing. So you can actually break your work down from everything from secretarial work, janitorial work, CEO work, CFO work, comptroller work, retail salesperson work, whatever it may be. You can break your position down into those roles and say, hey, this is what a reasonable salary is. And this is how much time I spend doing each one of these things. And you can get that down to a reasonable level. But yes, if you are working in the business now, if you are, let's say, just chairman of the board and you're just kind of overseeing things from a high level, you're not necessarily working in there. You can take maybe a salary as a chairman for a small number, and maybe you're working other jobs, and this is only a small piece that you kind of give guidance to. Then we can manipulate, from there, how much time you're spending in the business and what you're doing in the business. So those are the kind of things that you would want to look at going from there. Hey, we've got a couple questions about becoming an owner operator and how we can truck to success. And we're going to address those questions right after this quick break.
We have only scratched the surface of today's show. Please stand by as Barry G. Fowler will be right back with Tax Talk for You. As an owner-operator, you already spend too much time away from your family. Stop spending time doing paperwork. Go to truckertaxtools.com, a solution built specifically for truckers. Truckertaxtools.com makes your life run smoothly. Let's get back to Tax Talk for You with more Tax Talk. Once again, here's your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Hey, welcome back. We want to get you off on the right foot, trucking to success. Becoming a truck driver and, going through and running your own trucking business sounds exciting. And some people, it is. I deal with all kinds of people and talking them through, trucking and different things that are needed when you are in the trucking business. And, becoming a owner operator is a great idea if you're disciplined entrepreneur who can handle the high initial costs, the responsibilities, risks associated with being your own boss, those things that we discussed, in the first segment or two segments of the show. And, you enjoy your independence, you enjoy potential for higher income, but can you handle the flexibility that you need to be out there operating the truck? Can you be self-aware, self-driven to run your business and have the ownership? You do have higher costs. You have business risks. You have increased responsibility and less stability. Now, being an owner-operator, you got to be looking at costs. A lot of times we're looking at things like fuel costs, repair costs, what kind of truck should you buy? Should you get a new one? Should you get a used one? You know, what's your risk tolerance as well? What's your stability tolerance? Do you need to be 100% stable in your life? The second side of it is are you finding every deduction to keep your taxes lower? This goes for every business out there as well, not just trucking. But we get these kind of questions. Cindy asks, my husband's jumping out to become an owner operator. Is this information I hear about per diems? Well, per diems is a tax deduction. And per diems basically reimburse people for travel, for food, miscellaneous incidentals. The IRS for truckers has a standard per diem amount of $80 per night away from home, except for the first and last, which then it's $40 each of those nights. And then it's 80% deductible, not the 50% for meals and entertainment. So if you are an over-the-road trucker, now if you're just trucking locally and returning home every night, you're not getting meals, not getting travel, the per diems. These are for over the road, away from home truckers. You got to have an actual home you're supporting. So whether it's an apartment, a house, whatever it is, you've got to have some place that you're supporting that you come back to and can lay your head down in. If you just live in your truck and you don't have any of those expenses, you're considered a tax turtle, and that your home is your truck, and therefore you don't get meals on the road. Simple as that. There's certain rules out there. We work with you as an owner operator to help you and guide you what is qualifying for per diems. We tell you to keep a calendar, even pull your ELD log so that you have proof of the nights that you're away from home if you should be audited. So things like that become deductions, and per diems is a fantastic deduction. And think of it this way is, we get a lot of truck drivers who are on the road 80% of the time. And that means they're on the road 288 days out of the year, times 80. Now, we didn't take first and last days out of here. So, this is a rough number, but right around $23,000 tax deduction before the 80%. So that gives you $18,432 of expense that you're writing off against your income. Valuable deduction for an owner operator right there. Now, if you're a W-2 driver, you don't get this. You don't get per diems. This is only for owner operators out there. So they took away the 2106 form, which was the unreimbursed employee business expenses, to the chagrin of many, many truck drivers. And it really affected people's taxes when they went to the higher standard deduction and took away the unreimbursed business expenses out there for individuals. So that's the one of the good deductions for a business owner, and especially owner operators out there. Now, if you're in business, you got to start thinking about ordinary and necessary expenses. We do this routine with everybody that's in trucking. We have a form, and we're looking for everything. When we go through and look at our bookkeeping for a trucker, we are looking specifically for every deduction. So when we sit down and we look at it, we're looking at possibly telephone expense. Oh, speaking of telephone, we haven't really given out this number to get a hold of Trucker Tax Tools so that they can work with you on bookkeeping and taxes. Matter of fact, we're running a great special out there right now. If you're driving on 12 near Hammond in Louisiana. You saw our billboard signs up there. There should be flashing up more often right now. This talks about low cost discounted bookkeeping and taxes for truckers. So, hey, we're out here trying to be a service to truckers, and we help you. We're members of OOIDA and supporters of OOIDA, Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association. Hey, whether you like the association or not, there are a lot of great things they do for truckers and helping, represent truckers. So it's a great membership to get out there and very low cost for you as well. So I do speak at their Truck to Success seminars and everything. So we're always working to find better ways to help truckers. But even if you're in business, you got to be going through and looking, hey, did you deduct the portion of the cell phone you use for business? That's your personal phone that you're using as well. Did you deduct your bookkeeping and tax preparation? If you go to truckertaxtools.com, again, truckertaxtools.com, you can get a free guide that gives you the tools to never worry about your taxes again. Or you can just give us a call at 877-996-2477. Again, 877-996-2477. Or again, just go to truckertaxtools.com. We're here to provide the service that you need to help your business that's out there. Did you deduct things like fire extinguisher you bought? Maybe the cooking supplies you needed for the cab of the truck. Maybe the new mattress you bought. Those things are all deductible for your business, and we want you to find those things. Ice scrapers. These may sound like little things, but the little expenses add up. And that's the kind of things that we're looking for. Do you have subscriptions that you use in the truck that maybe you're running on your cell phone and that's getting billed to your personal account? We need to help you find those so you can get the deduction for those kind of things as well. What subscriptions are you running? Are you deducting your ELD? Did you buy a road atlas? Do you pay monthly for subscription to GPS? Things like that you need to be aware of. Are you looking at your settlement statements you receive from the company you're leased on? Are they deducting the things the right way for you? Are they hitting you with deductions that you don't have? We've seen that as well. So we tell everybody, read your settlement statement. Look at your settlement statement. Know what's on it each and every week that you get it. Make sure the company's not hitting you for something that you shouldn't be hit with. You're looking for every ordinary and necessary business expense that you have as a business owner. Now, don't get carried away trying to put personal stuff over on the business. You don't want to intermingle business and personal. You want to keep it separate. You want to reduce the taxes to the lowest amount you can, and that's what we work with you to do. Now, what's the bad part about finding every deduction? Well, again, the good part is it lowers your net income, which lowers your taxes, which lowers your self-employment tax, which lowers your federal income tax. Bad part is it lowers Social Security, how much you would be contributing to Social Security. Good or bad. Depends on your philosophy behind Social Security. If your income is way down and you're trying to get loans from the bank, then the bank doesn't know trucking. They may not provide you with the loans that you need. Maybe if you're trying to buy a house, your income would show way too far down because, hey, think of it. You just lowered your income by, $18,000 taxable income by that, $23,000 on a financial statement. And you're trying to go to a bank and your income was really, really low. So that makes things a little bit difficult there for you as well. Hey, I'm getting surprised here, man. I'm running long and they just told me I had 1 minute left. Hey, I'm glad you joined us on Tax Talk for You. follow us over at taxtalkforyou.com. Hey, next week we're going to be off for Thanksgiving, so have a wonderful and blessed Thanksgiving. And then be back here every Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern time for Tax Talk For You. Again, go to taxtalkforyou.com. Follow us over there so you don't miss an episode. And if you do, go check out our podcast at taxtalkforyou.com or on iHeart, Spotify, you name it. But above all, have a God-blessed, glorious week and a God-blessed Thanksgiving. A lot to be thankful for. And we'll see you the weekend after Thanksgiving. Have a wonderful 2 weeks.
Are you an individual or business that wants to understand taxes and how they affect you? Are you looking for specific tax advice for self-employed, business owners, and truckers? Are you behind on taxes and your bookkeeping? Are you dealing with the IRS and ready to have some relief? Then you need Tax Talk For You, hosted by tax and trucker expert Barry G. Fowler, EA. Tune in 10 a.m. Eastern Time every Monday right here on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Don't forget to check this and past episodes at taxtalkforyou.com. See you next week at W4CY.com.